everyone, my name is Keil. I'm now almost 20 years in the IT industry. I started very early, already in 1995, and developed for my first customer a website in plain HTML. There was no JavaScript, no PHP at that time. So you can imagine there is a fundamental and a basic knowledge within the IT industry. And over the time I was running several projects which were connected to the automotive industry, but not only. I was also very connected into sports.
What kind of sports?
We were organizing a company and a platform which was helping sport clubs to get funding.
Interesting. How?
Very traditional, without any blockchain.
Oh yeah. That time it was which year?
It was in 2007.
10 years ago.
Almost 10 years ago.
No blockchain at all.
No blockchain at all. No. And still, communities have the problem to get enough funding. And we invented a possibility to monetize the places a football or sports club has to present, for instance, partners or to present companies and let them pay actually for the place where they put their commercials on.
I see. You're also now a vice president of the company which is called Infopulse.
Infopulse, yeah, it's a Ukrainian outsourcing company with the extra added value, because we are not just providing good hands, but we are also providing the hands with the brains, right? And we're adding value in this kind of matter, that we are actually always trying to minimize the risk for our customers, and that we provide innovations that they are always on top when it comes to competition with their competitors.
I see. You're paying a lot of attention in your company to informational security. Is it correct?
Security is one big aspect, of course.
Do you think that now blockchain is like the platform which can be used for security? I mean, why for security is very important blockchain?
I wouldn't say, yeah.
Because I just have a proceeding. Well, whether like traditional encryption is not enough for the security. Do we need blockchain for keeping safe, for example, information?
Okay, I understood your question. So, to be honest, per default, I would say no. Right? You can create security with a lot of different instruments and with a lot of different methodologies, not connecting it to the blockchain. I mean, to be honest, blockchain is a conglomerate out of a lot of different, already since a long time existing technologies. So, in a nutshell, blockchain is combining decentralized databases with the help of through the help of consensus, being able to change data. And on top of it, they also put encryption, crypto to it. But everyone maybe knows that decentralized databases we already had 20 years ago, and encryption we also had 20 years ago. The very first use case of encryption I was using was PGP, pretty good privacy. It was
what one?
There is a possibility actually to secure the communication of your email. So in the moment that you are sending a normal email, it's actually like a postcard.
Yeah,
really? Yeah. You don't,
every mail.
Every mail, if it's not PGP, if it's not encrypted. So you're sending your email and you think that only the recipient will actually be able to read it, but that's not true. All people or all companies or all technology which is in the middle between you as a client who sent the email and the one who is receiving the email, all people which are sitting in between which have technical access to the service, they can actually read your emails.
Interesting, I would say so.
So in the very first technology which they introduced was PGP, pretty good privacy, or GNU PGP, which was
it really good privacy?
Oh yeah, it was, and it still is, because it is using the same technology that is blockchain using now to secure the data that are transferred with this email.
Okay, but Do we need now blockchain? Not for such kind of email.
I wouldn't say that blockchain is the very first choice to provide better security. It helps, of course, it supports security aspects, but the most important idea of blockchain is actually to be able in a right manner, in a correct way, decentralize processes, decentralize things that at the moment are centralized. So let me maybe use the anecdote, or not the anecdote,
We like it.
No, not the anecdote. I wanted to say the analogy of
I thought there was a funny story concerning with introducing blockchain into your work. Was there some funny story?
Yeah, but I'm not so good in telling jokes. So
But you may try.
yeah, I'm afraid that I will.
Okay, first about analogy, and then we're coming back to anecdote. Okay?
Okay.
Deal.
So I lost a little bit about what I wanted to talk to you, but the fact is actually that blockchain, of course, supports and helps you being more secure. But this is not the most interesting aspect of it. The most interesting aspect is decentralization. We have in our life too much centralization, and this is actually, what is centralization bringing us? Centralization is bringing us enemies. Enemies, direct matter. No, have a look. Compare two countries which are by itself centralized, right? They're not belonging to the same group. They're not having the same ideas. They don't have the same things they want to achieve, or let's say with different words, they came up with the same idea, and because they are not connected into one common ledger, they're trying to fight each other, which is the best solution, or which is the best help to solve a problem.
So blockchain helps to avoid it?
To some extent, yes, because blockchain helps you to decentralize a lot of things, not everything what is going on in our life.
Things, actually, first of all.
I mean, everything started with financial sector, right? Everyone thought that the financial sector is the best sector to start with and implement blockchains. We can get rid of intermediate like banks, and only after maybe 2 years, ICOs, startups, and companies understood maybe we should not focus on financial sector first. Beside the financial sector, you have the insurance sector, you have the healthcare sector, you have the energy sector. The whole government sector, by definition, is prone to be blockchainized, right? And the very first aspect, as for me, is actually optimizing and streamlining business processes. And here blockchain has a very good story to make that happen.
Concerning what you mentioned about the protection of blockchain, to what degree can blockchain be protected from the human factor, from the human influence?
Then we already have to go a little bit more deeper into my speech about identity and access management. So the question was how it can help to be more secure, right?
Yeah.
So let's imagine identity management, right? Maybe you have heard
What's more?
identity management. Yeah, let's use the example identity management. Maybe you have heard, or maybe you have seen the film Minority Report, or you have seen the film The Net.
Oh, I believe The Net I've seen.
It was with the lady. What was her name?
We will remember. We will recall later.
You will recall later.
I hope.
Okay. But anyway, what was going on? There was a lady in this film, The Net, and she was. She got some information that she shouldn't have received, and then everyone was hunting her, and they were actually hunting her with changing her identity. So she was no longer the person she was. She had no banking accounts. She had no way to prove that she is the one and that she was right. So the very first thing blockchain can help is actually removing intermediates, first of all, because intermediates can probably change data if they have access to them, right? And
how it's useful for them. In the way it's useful for them, not for her.
right,
Like and to make it like to bridge like the information and make it how should we correct spell it? Make it incorrect. Let's just say so.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much.
No. I'm just trying to interpret it as I can understand with my women brain. Let's just say so.
I mean, it's not a compliment, but the women brain is thinking much better than the man's brain.
Oh, thank you.
Because you definitely can separate between the creative part and the rational part.
On the one hand, yeah, but they say that women are very clear and very precise in the details, and men can be more precise in forecast. Yeah.
Good. I mean, best would be, of course, to combine both. Yeah.
That would be superhuman, yeah. Superman.
X-Man.
Okay.
X-woman, X-man. Right. Okay. But we are getting coming back.
Yeah.
Right. So how can it help? I mean, everyone who is connected to blockchain knows the basic parameters of blockchain, right? First one, it is immutable. Second one, it is transparent and auditable. And the third one was what you said in the beginning, the security aspect, because data actually are encrypted. Maybe not all data, but at least the data that are publicly published in a blockchain, they should be at least to some extent be encrypted.
And what is interesting, you cannot change it after all.
I mean, if you are not hacking the blockchain, then there is by default no possibility to change it. But there are, of course, possibilities to also change a blockchain by consensus, right? Consensus means the majority have to agree to a certain change. This would be then, if you talk with the new words, it would be then the difference between a soft fork and a hard fork.
Oh, I see. One speaker explained to me on the way in terms of autos, how to differentiate between software and soft fork and hard fork. What is interesting, very important question. How do you think whether blockchain can be used in what sphere? In sphere of marketing, another sphere. How can be useful in terms of those spheres?
I mean, how they can be used for every project, every startup, every ICO needs to define for themselves. I mean, that's the value which they're actually selling. We see that actually at the moment, beside the financial industry, all sectors started to get disrupted with the help of blockchain technology.
Disrupted?
Disrupted, yeah. I mean, changed.
Oh, I see.
Right? And if you want to hear examples for that, I mean, the examples are endless. Government was one example.
Yes, you mentioned.
Providing a possibility that we humans are able to manage our identity by ourselves, and not that it's managed by someone and is stored and then on top stored in a single point of failure in a centralized database which is prone to get hacked. A very good example is Equifax. That's one of the third biggest reporting agencies in America. 143 million, so 1/3 of American citizens and their personal data became compromised by hacking a centralized database. So here blockchain for sure can help, because you probably can hack a central database, but trying to hack a decentralized database, I haven't seen before. Not yet.
Your forecast for the blockchain, can it be the future internet as they call it?
Oh yes, it has very big potential, but therefore people need to understand that blockchain is not something bad, is not something smelly, is not something scammy. People need to understand that. First of all, they have to understand the real enemy of our world.
What is the enemy of our world?
Centralized structures.
Oh, it's interesting.
I mean, have a look what is going on in Ukraine. Before it was centralized, a lot of scam, a lot of backshish in their own pockets was going, and Ukraine as one of their first instruments to make a change was decentralization. Before there was the Ministry of Regions, and it was very centralized. And the very first step, what they did was bring decentralization into it, that every oblast, every region can make independent decisions within boundaries, let's say so. And the same is here for blockchain. Blockchain is here to decentralize our world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to me also. Guys, stay tuned and we see each other soon.